Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the Ammo Nerd, and we have an ammunition review today and a caliber I haven't tested in quite some time. 6.5 Grendel. This is a 123 grain Sabre blade black tip from AAC. In full transparency, the fine gentleman over there sent me a couple large boxes of ammunition to review with no strings attached and provide general feedback to them on, as well as giving you guys hard data on this load, particularly since this is a very, very new offering. Let's throw this guy on the table and talk about what we're going to do today. For our 6.5 Grendel testing, we only have two barrel lengths afforded to us, a 12 and 18 inch. After we've collected our velocity figures and a general reliability, we're going to step back to 100 yards with this load to see what it's capable of for practical accuracy. And because this is a ballistic tip, we are going to shoot this in ballistics gel. Now, based on what AAC has told me, if there is no brand marking on the box, that their bullets are made by Hornady. So if anything, this is pretty much what a 123 grain SST is going to be. As far as any use case for 6.5 Grendel, it is, you know, quote unquote, kind of an intermediate cartridge between our 5.56 and our 308. It does have a lot more muzzle energy than our 5.56, and you know, it has a higher ballistic coefficient and effectively can deliver more of that energy at range, probably more accurately than 5.56, although it never really was, you know, adopted in any type of military en masse in the US that I'm aware of, so there aren't really any armor piercing or barrier preferred loads for it. So your use case for this particular load may vary. We have our Pro Chrono Digital DLX as always, and our Garmin Zero C1 from Cabela's/Bass Pro Shops. We'll start our testing off with our 12 inch. This is our PSA build. It does have an adjustable gas block on it, but it's one of their earlier designs, and it doesn't really work the greatest in my opinion for making adjustments. We have the Duramag in here, see how this feeds. For some reason, we only picked up 9 of those on the Garmin. Ending was 2184. Extreme or standard deviation of only 7.7, not too shabby. And finally, our 18 inch, again from Palmetto State Armory. I've had this upper for quite some time. Ending velocity 2399. Not too shabby if I do say so myself. Typically you need a 20 inch or longer 7.62 by 3.9 to get that velocity out of a 123 grain. Here is our Sabre blade black tip 6.5 Grendel, 100 yard from a lead sled with a first focal plane scope. Our first group was 1.340 inches, very impressive. And then this group was almost immediately after. It looks like a little bit of heat in that barrel. Degraded our accuracy a little bit at 2.048 inches. Otherwise, pretty darn respectable for what I usually see in an AR. Not too shabby, around 70 degrees outside today. Here is our 123 grain Sabre blade black tip at 100 yards. Lead sled using the 12 inch 2.613. It's around 90 degrees outside today. We did have the JK Armament rifle kit on there, which typically when I've thrown that on sub 30 cal bullets, the groups tend to tighten up. I don't know if it's the way that I've cut those baffles on there, but you know, your mileage may vary. We did shoot some of the FMJ from the 18 inch today at a much better group, and the FMJ did pretty well as well from the 12 inch. Now it's time to see what our Sabre blade black tip will do in ballistics gel. Down yonder, a big thank you to Clear Ballistics Gel. We have a 6x6x16 block. I do believe it's been remelted once. There is a lot of discussion about the validity between clear gel and organic gel. You should never compare those results together. And further, typically in any ballistic lab demos, you're gonna fire at least 5, if not 10 rounds of each into the medium, then plus the barriers to get a general idea of what the round's gonna do. And unless I see a giant uptick in the amount of Patreon supporters that I have, that's just not viable for me. Again, this is just a general representation of what this bullet is capable of. You should always seek out other information to validate any of those additional claims. Now, this is a Hornady SST or something very close to it, so I imagine we're gonna get pretty good performance. 2208. Something, did not get a reading off the Garmin. Our shot in the foreground is our 12-inch. Very, very impressive. Neck is a little long at almost 2 inches, but we have a lot of disruption occurring all the way out to the 12-inch mark, and then even some more. Right out to the 21-inch mark is our bullet. It looks like a considerable amount of it is still there. It looks like it kind of expanded over upon itself. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. Now, the 18-inch, we're going to shoot that again in a second, but you can see down there is its wound track. We have about an inch neck, so a lot shorter neck, but then it actually dove down for some reason. I thought my offset was correct and not sure how that ended up that way, but we're right around the 18-inch mark with that bullet. Here is a top down, the 12-inch and then 18-inch. You can see that settles down a lot. That's much more like it. This one is our 18-inch. Our wound track is pretty much identical to the first short barrel shot. We start to lose some disruption in our gel right around the 12-inch mark, and right out to around the 20-inch mark is that 18-inch right back there. I would say if you're looking for something for personal protection, self-defense, that's going to get you there. If you have an 18-inch fired at range, that's what kind of ballistic performance you're going to get. I don't have any shorter 6.5 Grendel load barrels, but pretty darn impressive for a value-priced 6.5 Grendel. Interesting enough, here is the 12-inch. It looks like it smushed the lead over to one side, and that's probably why it forced it off a straight path. Our 18-inch is a lot more uniform in that expansion. This one was the one that hit the bottom of the metal there. Pretty darn impressive expansion, if I do say so myself. We will get some retained weight and maximum expansion numbers off that for the closing. Well, folks, I hope the thunder I hear in the background isn't close enough to me that we're gonna get a pop-up shower, because none of my stuff is put away. But AAC, excellent job on this Sabre blade black tip. All in all, if I had to critique anything, the velocity of our AAC loads could be bumped up a little more so that we're meeting those specifications. Again, I only have an 18-inch barrel in our 6.5 Grendel, so I'm not sure if they rate that out of a 24-inch barrel, but compared to some of the other ammunition that we've tested in the past, we fall just a little bit shy. But our accuracy is very good in our particular barrel lengths. Again, your mileage may vary. You probably have guns that cost a lot more than I do. I'm doing all this testing, so I have to spread my dollars as thin as possible. Our gel results, very, very good. Essentially, like I mentioned, this is a Hornady SST bullet, so we've got good expansion out of that and good penetration depth, something that I would consider very ideal for personal protection, home defense, and or even hunting. If you've hunted with this particular bullet, drop a comment below. With all that being said, I'm gonna get the heck out of here, but then all my videos to take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible, because there's a lot that goes into them. Number one is my family. Deacon came out here today to help me do some shooting. It's great that I can spend time with my family and that they also enjoy doing shooting. Number two are my Patreon, Subscribe Star, and YouTube channel members. I have a campsite in the description below. It is a landing page and has different affiliate codes or discount tracking links that earn me a sales commission like a lot of other content creators. In full transparency, I do have one for Palmetto State Armory, so if you're looking at picking this ammunition up and you've made your buying decision, you want to say thank you to the channel, that link goes a long way of helping out the channel. Number three are the fine gentlemen over at JJE, AAC, PSA. Again, in full transparency, sent the ammunition over for us to review with no strings attached. And of course, number four is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.